Good morning, friends. I'm your host Shashi, again with you all on Women Dialogues to create more voice for women and by women. And today's our guest, connecting from South Africa, a beautiful country, Miss Alta. She is having her consultancy in HR and many other businesses. She will tell more about her work, her career journey, along with her career life, her life experiences. So let's welcome her on Women Dialogue Talk Show. So welcome Alta on Women Dialogue Talk Show program today.
Morning, Dr. Shashi. Thank you so much for inviting me to the program.
It's a great pleasure to have you today. I was so happy to see your vast experience. It's like you more than 30 years experience. So you must be having a lot of things, lot of stories, lot of life journeys related, your career, your personal to share with us, to share with our audience. So let's start talking about your early life journey and how it helped you or navigate your further career or your journey moving ahead in your life.
Thank you. Yes, I had an average child or upbringing, one of seven children, and obviously my parents had severe financial constraints. So when I finished high school, I did not have the opportunity to go to university, something that I really wanted to do. And then, for 10 years, I lived a life of feeling sorry for myself. I was going to be an administration clerk for the rest of my life because I didn't have opportunities. And then I had a wonderful, wonderful manager that came along. And at the age of 28, 10 years after I finished high school, he
Mm-hmm.
called me into his office. I worked for the company 5 months at that point. And he said to me, Alta, you are wasting your life and you're wasting your potential, but only you can do something about it. By that time, I was already married. I had one kid. I mean, working full time, and to then take up studies seemed like this is going to be a nightmare. Fortunately, I have been blessed with a husband that has been so supportive. And I started my formal studies at the age of 28. I first did a diploma, a 3-year diploma in personnel management. I then continued to do a B degree in labor relations. So that's more focusing on all kinds of disputes and dealing with the union issues in the labor workforce. I then went through a bit of a slump in terms of my studies, took up my studies again. I did a postgraduate diploma in leadership development. Directly after that, I finished my master's degree on leadership coaching. And by that time, I just turned 50. And in February this year, I completed a postgrad diploma in labor dispute resolution.
Yeah, that seems a lot. And I think hearing it, it's self-inspiring when you are talking about like how, when you are not having opportunity, but how you move through those maybe by not saying that I don't have opportunity to create an opportunity for your life to make it better for yourself and for your family by having all positive supports from your family member and all. So Elta, when we are talking about this kind of life with this kind of support system, we are talking about, I think, what year it was, if you could share with us to understand more about.
Yeah. So, and support comes in all different ways. It's about the people around you that care, and not being scared or embarrassed to ask people, I've got a big exam coming up tomorrow. Please
Mhm.
help me with my children. It's we are often so proud to ask for help, or to show people that at this point in my life, I'm battling, please help me, with whatever challenge you are facing. And there are so many good people out there. It's not just about family. These friends, these colleagues, people who's got good hearts that would really go out. If you ask them to say, "I need help," that will help
Mm-hmm.
you. And even in my career while working, I spent 22 years working in the mining industry.
Mm-hmm.
And throughout my career, the one thing that I've learned is to ask for help. It's
Right.
okay. You
Yeah.
don't know everything. And if
Yeah.
somebody tells me they know everything, they don't need help, then I'm going to frown, because I think that is not humanly possible. Is when you get stuck, you need to ask people,
Yeah.
and as I continued in my career, I also realized building a network of people.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just necessarily people that's going to help you advance your career, but it's people that you can go to and say, I need help. Can you give me more information on this? So it's about not being ashamed, not being embarrassed or scared to ask for help when you need it, because that's where you really grow a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is so true. And when you are saying about don't feel embarrassed, don't feel shy, and thinking about that asking for help is maybe putting them down, is it's really important, especially when we are talking as women. Many times in many cultures, women put those things in their mind, uh, having those barriers, maybe their social, their cultural settings, but
Yeah.
how they can get benefit out of even those social and cultural settings can be very good example from your side, like as you are sharing about even he was not able to maybe as initially fortunate enough to get college education, but asking and can keep doing, you found out the real way what you wanted to do and you desired. So that's so important, Alta, when we are talking about it. Moving ahead, when we are talking about your career journey, uh, as you shared, you started very early, and as after even high school, because there was not option to go to college. How did you find a challenge in that regard, or what kind of challenges you find when you started your work journey?
Yeah. So, I mean, I've always enjoyed working. I need a goal. And as much as I love my husband and as much as I love my kids, being a full time mother and homemaker just
Mhm.
did not work for me. So I realized I needed to work because it gives me a different sense of purpose.
Mhm.
So, I mean, when I started working, I took the job I could get, and I just did my best. And with every job I had, I was really committed. This is what I have, and I need to make something of it.
Mhm.
And I think, when you don't have an opportunity initially to go to university, there's different ways of learning and there's different ways of getting experience.
Right.
And I mean, up to my last corporate job, is always ask people when you've got a dull moment, when you think, okay, I've got half an hour free, what is somebody else doing, and how can I help them, number one, and number two, in helping them, what am I going to learn here that maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but in 10 years time, that knowledge might be to my advantage. So it's getting involved in things that's not even your own job, and I often, I heard so often that people say, but that's not my job. The only job we have and the only responsibility we have is to expose ourselves to as many different things as we can,
Mhm.
because that experience sometime later in your life is going to come back and you're going to say, aha, I am so glad I took that moment.
I totally can relate and can understand when these moment comes and you really feel aha, and I got that what I was looking for, what I kind of things I'm created for others. So, Alta, you are currently having your consulting business, and you
Yes.
are running, I think, quite long, and along with you have many other business. Would you like to share what exactly all about?
Yeah, so 5 years ago, I made the decision to leave the corporate world and to become an entrepreneur. And that was at the age of 48. So you can calculate my age now. Um, and I must say, 6 months down the line, I thought, oh my word, are you totally mad? What have you done? So I had the HR consulting and coaching on the sideline, and the other passion that I have is to care about our environment. And
Mm,
if we just look at the world around us, I mean,
yeah.
I don't need to talk about plastic and you know just the pollution out there. So I started with another person, a colleague that I used to work with in the mining industry. We started a company focusing on eco products and solar. Now,
Mm,
solar, and especially in South Africa, is still a very expensive commodity. So it's for a selected few. 80% of the population cannot afford solar systems. But I
mm,
think just starting with that opened my eyes of there's so many different things that we can do,
mhm,
and instead of, and I know recycling, we have to recycle. But in the end, it's about avoiding recycling, so make your decisions so you don't have to recycle. And
yeah.
there's a lot of things that all of us can do. I mean, if we go and buy our vegetables, and that's what I love about countries like India, Thailand, where you buy from vegetable stores, you buy fresh vegetables that's not packaged. In South Africa and our convenience stores, everything is washed and clean wrapped and or it's already processed for you. It's frozen and in plastic bags. And there's actually just so much more fun buying fresh vegetables where you still have to wash the soil off those vegetables and preparing them. And just in living a more natural life, less processed foods, less things from cartons and plastics, just opened my eyes, about what we do, what's happening in my own house.
Mm,
Now, I mean, at this point in my life, I am nowhere the perfect living a sustainable, environmentally sustainable life, but we've made so many changes.
mm,
And we've actually we were able to reduce the garbage that we put out every week,
mm.
from 2 to 3 bags to
Right.
3/4 of a bag at this stage.
Mm-hmm.
So what can we recycle? What don't we have to buy? So, there's nothing to recycle. So my recycling bags are 2 bags. The stuff that needs to go to the landfill is like half a bag, 3/4 of a bag. And in a sense, you feel that I am contributing towards a cleaner environment. And if everybody, I mean, we don't need 100
Mm,
people doing everything right.
mm,
We need 1,000 people just doing one thing right. And we will make a difference to the environment that we live in, and create or start turning the earth into a sustainable place for the generations to come, long after we have left this life.
mm-hmm. Yeah, that is so true, and you're bringing very important point about environment and sustainability. And as in current scenario, when we are talking in global pandemic, people are getting more sense what it means to be. what is really feel like when we have more clean air. Yes,
Yeah.
we know we are getting isolated. We are not allowed. We are getting a lot of in the terms of not that free to exploit the nature in the way we are used to in, or we are habit of, right? But the way same time you are giving time to get regenerate, to get, the nature to get breathe, and to get again to get develop a better ecosystem, better environment or climate for you, to give you back
Yeah.
again, right? So, Alta, did you find some kind of conscious awareness while you are doing a lot of work? How you can find the work you are doing same time this global pandemic did create more consciousness in people's mind in your area, or how you are seeing that?
Okay. You're talking about consciousness around our environment.
Yes, because
Absolutely.
I believe, as you said, maybe 1,000 people, right? And we need that support to bring our environment, our behavior to be conscious. What we are really doing with our environment, which is our part of life, which is essential part of life. So when we are talking about your work and current pandemic, which is kind of giving the same way, giving more time to regenerate, renovate this environment, right? So, did you find that conscious behavior or any kind of changes in the work area where you are doing?
Yeah, we've actually seen a lot, and I'm talking about family, I'm talking about friends, I'm talking about customers, and listening to how people, how they're talking. So
Mm-hmm.
in South Africa, we had an initial strict lockdown, 100% for 5 weeks, which
Mm-hmm.
was terrible, because all
Yeah.
of a sudden we couldn't
Mm-hmm.
go to the shops and just buy whatever we needed, and being at home and you can't go out, unless you go to the shop for certain emergency items. People had time to start thinking, about what do we do, and start tackling problems that we haven't focused on before, and a very specific example is vegetables,
Mm-hmm.
and how one can start a vegetable garden. I mean, you don't need a farm.
Right.
And we've seen a lot of our customers at Greenlight, the eco store, starting to buy vegetable seeds and products that would help them grow their own vegetables. We also launched a competition, and the creativity of people, uh, it was just astounding. And I mean, for ourselves, it's just so much better eating your own fresh vegetables that it's not been treated with any chemicals. You know what went in there. And
Yeah.
yes, my carrots are not as big as the ones you buy in the shop, but you know
Mm-hmm.
what? They are far more tasty.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that's
The
true.
the the other thing, is food waste.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, South Africa, like many countries, the lockdown, the pandemic, brought about a lot of job losses. And people are more conscious about, it's so easy when you have money, is you put leftover in the fridge, and a week later it's like, oh, what do we have in this fridge? And we just throw things away. So people are more conscious of preparing food for just for what we need, or preparing food for 2 meals. So there's a lot of there's less waste. And if you look at your vegetables, your vegetable peels, and your leftover food that you can't reuse, so what do we do with that? And creating, starting your own compost heap to feed your vegetable garden. So it's starting a little ecosystem in the house, with your leftover, your food waste, using that and then feed your own new vegetables, the ones that you are growing with those leftovers. It's actually an amazing cycle that really, uh, if you stand back and you look at it and you think, wow, I can do this. Now, I've never been a good gardener. I've tried a vegetable garden before. That didn't work. Now that I've set my mind to it, it's actually working. And it gives you a huge sense of satisfaction to
Yeah.
know that these green peppers comes from my garden. It doesn't come from a shelf in the shop.
Right. Yeah. I think that's very good share, which you shared just now about how people uh, living more consciously in terms of when they are even buying, how their behavior got changed from buying the packed products to buying the seeds and trying
Yes,
to grow their own. And it brings a lot of, I believe, even if I'm myself very fond of gardening, I always try, and even having a small, fruit as it's growing, it gives a lot of, you feel it different joy because it's how it is coming from. So it's again, it's in many ways not only satisfaction for your what you are putting in your body, but for, I think, mental health as well, because yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. It creates a lot of good feelings.
Mhm. So did you find something as a similar kind of maybe in your customers or in your and surrounding some good stories where they find at one moment they are having more anxiety, more feeling alone, because as you said, it's complete lockdown. Having isolation can bring a lot of mental illness, right? It's not a regular thing for as a human. So did you find it helps somewhat people to feel more calm, to feel more relaxed, and feel more in a better way?
Absolutely, and I mean, to some people, having your bare hands in soil is just a disgusting thought. But working in the garden, and being so close to Mother Nature creates that that feeling of good, and stepping back and watching those little seeds, once they start growing and they become plants. And I mean, many people. The other day, my sister, who also started a vegetable garden, sent me pictures of her little carrots that she got. And it, it's not just about that vegetable; it's about being involved in the process of
Mhm.
making something grow.
Yeah,
And no matter how small your first harvest or your second harvest, it's about creating and creating things the natural way. I mean, um, shops are shops, and we need to go there to get things.
yeah,
I think in the world that we live today, we have just been so accustomed to everything we need we get from shops.
right.
So we don't take the time to step back and say, do I really need this from the shop? Is there a way that I can reuse something in my house? Can I repurpose products instead of going to buy 10 new little plastic containers? What in my house can I repurpose? And I mean, in the process, you have less things. You that hoarding, of getting as many things as possible in your house. You've got a plastic container for this event, and then we buy 20 mugs just in case we have 20 people coming over for coffee, at once. And it's nature, and I think it's the life we're living. We are just preparing for every event. And then one day you realize, I don't need these many things. They don't bring happiness. Having
Mhm.
my own vegetable garden and being able to harvest my own vegetables, that's
Yeah,
happiness. That creates a sense of feeling good. opening your cupboard and having 30 plates and 20 mugs and whatever does not bring happiness. It's convenience if you need it. But I mean, how many of us have 20 people over at the same time for coffee? I
Mhm.
don't think a lot of us.
Yeah, that is true as you shared. But reach coming back the point, like you have your HR consulting and same time your passion for sustainability and environment. Do you find how you bring those collaboration where you are dealing with human or dealing with those labor and all issue and trying to bring those maybe association or any kind of environment or sustainability? Do you find some kind of possibilities or do you do that?
There's always an opportunity, and life is an opportunity about educating without forcing your view on people. If
Right.
somebody tells you you have to do it this way,
Yeah.
then I mean the gods are up. I'm not going to listen to you. You shut down, and that's the end of the story. So it's about using the time you have in between, work and what you do is to listen to other people's stories. So asking the question, do you have a vegetable garden? And if a person says no, is, what do you find are the obstacles? Why don't you do it? So it's education by asking people questions, showing that you are interested in their lives. And when you talk to people, when you ask them questions and you connect with their reality, with their experience, then they start asking you questions about, okay, so do you have a vegetable garden? What do you do? So looking after our environment, the sustainability links to treating people fairly, and doing not just what's right for you, but doing what's right for people around
Right.
you.
Yeah.
And I use the coaching approach. Don't tell people what to do. I mean, that we get at schools. Often in businesses, you get told what to do, how to do it, and when to do it. But rather use the opportunity of making people feel important. Because when I get the feeling that somebody's listening to me, then I'm more open to asking questions and learning from that person.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. And when we are talking about your work journey and your this all beautiful share about your passion for sustainability for environment, how do you see in future? Do you think the changes coming in the people in day to day life in their behavior, will it be same or will it be better or will they return back to their the previous version before pandemic?
Yeah, the environmental consciousness, or the development of environmental consciousness. I mean, we need to start it at home when our kids are very small, and kids follow what their parents do, so
Yeah.
it's about setting the example rather than telling people what to do.
Yeah.
If we look at what's happening in some schools, if you look at parents, I think it's definitely there's an improvement, but we have a long way to go. The world of consumerism is big, and it's a far bigger movement than taking care of our planet. I don't believe everything is lost. We have a long way to go, but we just need to keep at it, and don't give up. People will follow suit eventually, but
Yeah,
we
I
should
think
should
that's
never
very
give up.
inspiring, and that's very. We are hoping for better things, and I hope it goes in the same way as we are hoping, positive with positive mindset with positive directions. So, Alta, when we are talking about you and your journey, you have your own way of leading the things. how you define your leadership style.
That's a good question. It's about allowing people to be the best version of themselves,
Mm-hmm.
um, creating space for people to experiment. You know, if I think about early on in my career, and we all make mistakes.
Yeah.
And I have been so blessed with a manager that I had at that point that when you made a mistake, the guidance that he provided to correct it, you know, to fix the problem, you know, instead of using it as an opportunity to discipline you and to tell you, you know, how bad you are for making that mistake. And I remember in the mining industry when I was in that specific mining company, the executive HR manager, my one message to my team was, when you make a mistake, please let me be the first one to know about it.
Mm-hmm.
Because then we can sit together and we can work on fixing it.
Mm-hmm.
And that is my leadership style. That's mostly the style that I followed when, you know, when I raised my kids, my two daughters, is how do we fix this? And I mean, that is life. There's going to be problems, there's going to be mistakes, and we need to work on finding solutions instead of getting stuck in the problem, instead of getting stuck in the mistake.
Mm-hmm.
And as an entrepreneur, so when I started the first business, you know, and I'm 5 years down the line, I just realized in a business, you have a team and you have a manager and you have management teams where we can talk, we can bounce ideas off each other before decisions are made. But the life of an entrepreneur, a sole business owner, small businesses, can become quite lonely because who do you go to?
Mm-hmm.
Who do you bounce your ideas off? And that led me towards the end of last year to actually start a group coaching program for entrepreneurs, building a network of entrepreneurs where in a safe space, the entrepreneurs, and I guide the process through coaching. We
Mm-hmm.
can look at decisions that's been made, what was good, what was bad, and take the lessons and say, how do we apply this in future decisions?
Mm-hmm.
So it's building that network of people that through the 7 week program you start to trust, and building that lifelong partners that you'd be able to talk to, you know, in future. You know, the one thing that I strongly believe in is it's okay to make mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay at times not to be in control, but don't sit back. There's people out there that's going to be willing to help you without exploiting the situation, and you just need to network with those people. And for entrepreneurs, I mean, in a lot of countries in the world, small businesses is an absolute requirement for the survival of
Mm-hmm.
economies of a lot of countries. In terms of coaching, and we look at corporates, you know, there's executive coaching and leadership coaching, and there's a lot of focus on developing people, but there's little focus on developing entrepreneurs in terms of the, let's call it the softer skills, you
Mm-hmm.
know, making quality decisions, dealing with problems. It's a lonely world, and entrepreneurs need a community and a forum to to share and to learn, not just from our own mistakes. You know, I'm sure you have made a lot of mistakes, And
Yeah.
if we talk about it, I can learn from your mistakes so I don't need to repeat that mistake.
That is, I think, very important thing you're talking about, because as we often feel as an entrepreneur is a independent and more flexible, more, having more creativity, but same time having those uh, other things as you shared, those are very important, because oftentimes it makes you feel being alone and having no one to talk about, share about your, business, your work. And having such community is so important, and especially as many women, they are having those all leadership qualities, they have their beautiful, their entrepreneurship skill, they have their companies, their work, but having such support mechanism or maybe a system can bring their work to the next level.
Absolutely. And because we run the program online,
Mm,
it's not exclusively South African entrepreneurs, it's entrepreneurs. So
mm,
we can immediately, with the program, we've opened the doors
mm,
for entrepreneurs from Qatar, entrepreneurs from Dubai, India, the United States, South Africa, Zambia. Any person from anywhere in the world can join this program, and we do it in small groups of 6 people, and where they just really, really have an opportunity to collaborate, to open up about their fears and their concerns and the things they battle with. And it's okay. It's absolutely okay to battle. And it's absolutely okay to have fears.
mm.
But it's what you do about those that in the end makes the difference.
Yeah, yeah, that is so true. So when we are talking about your work, your this all entrepreneurship experience, what advice would you like to give to our audience and viewers based on your all those your experiences?
Mm. So if I can just take a step back, Dr. Shashi, early in my life, when I started studying, I looked at people that, I mean, they read a book and they come back and, they talk from that book that, and I used to envy people like that. How can you remember so many things after reading a book?
Mm,
And that made me feel to a certain extent not as good as those people until I realized that these different learning styles, and
mhm,
it's okay. And I mean, I don't want to go into the theory, but David Kolb has written a lot about the different learning styles. The information is on Google. You just need to go and Google Kolb learning styles, and there's free online assessments. And my way of learning is to actively experiment. So
mm,
I need to be able to retain knowledge. Reading a book, for me, I can't retain that knowledge effectively.
mhm,
Um, and once I realized that that is my learning style, I became a more authentic person. The other thing that was quite critical to me, in my journey, and it's all about getting to know yourself and being authentic, being who you are, not trying to be who others want you to be.
mhm,
Is to understand what's your triggers, what really, what would put you in that fight or flight situation.
yeah,
And for me, my biggest trigger is fairness. And
mhm,
when things are unfair, that just irks me completely.
mhm,
But when you have a big drive for fairness, you also become a rescuer. You want to rescue the world. Now, at one point in my life, I believed that I can do it. But you put a lot of weight on your shoulders, and trying to save people who does not want to be saved,
right, yeah,
people must want help for you to help them. And I mean, that's what I want to do. I want to help people become better versions of themselves.
So when we are
But
talking about it, uh, how do you find having a platform, having a talk show like Women Dialogues Global Platform is needed or important?
absolutely, and that's for people to realize. I mean, I am so different to what you are, but I have my strengths and I need to use those strengths. Never mind about weaknesses. We all have weaknesses and we deal with those. But use your strengths to just become that better version of yourself, and
Yeah,
it's never too late.
yeah,
I read an article on, I think, LinkedIn yesterday
mhm.
about a lady at the age of 60 that completed her master's degree. I mean,
Wow.
wow.
Yeah,
You know,
I think that similar. I saw that one. It was beautiful and very
yeah,
inspiring one, isn't it?
yeah. So every day we have an opportunity just to become a better me. I cannot be you and you can't be me, but I can
Right.
be a better me, and I just need to go for it every single day.
Yeah, yeah, that's so true. And thank you for having such kind of feeling. Like what makes unique about this talk show? How we share, how we learn, how we grow together. And thank you. And I hope the same way our audience, our viewers will learn, inspire, get motivated, and grow and develop themselves. So thank you, Elta, for sharing your life journey, your work, your vision, your knowledge with us and with our all audience. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Sashi, for inviting me. And I sincerely hope that if I could only change the world for one person through what I've shared today, mission achieved. But for allowing me this platform, to through my experiences, hopefully inspire and motivate other women out there, whether you're 40, whether you're 50, whether you're 60, it's never too late. Do something that's important for you.
Thank you. Thank you. And thanks to all our viewers and audience who are listening and watching us. And I believe this listening is inspiring and motivating for you. So if you would like to get your more motivation dose, get inspired and get want to see your better self, please visit next time again with new episode with new speaker. And if you would like to get connect with Alta, her details are available in the description as well. Till then, take care. Bye bye.